Yes, it's a good evening and welcome to Mboni News Broadcast. Today is on 4th April 2025 and this is the Campus Diaries, a show that delves in issues and matters to do with comrades. And today we are speaking or discussing a topic regarding the gender-based violence, one of the most crucial topics in this season that has been going on. We have lost students and we have thought of it being a necessity to discuss today. And today in the studio we have none other than Evalyne Kaira, an activist on matters to do with sexual factors, menstrual hygiene, and gender-based violence at large. So welcome, Evalyne.
Thank you so much for having me today.
To start with, let us hear who she is and probably what she does, or rather, let us get her profile.
Well, my name is Evalyne Kaira. I am a final year student here at the University of Embu, pursuing a bachelor's degree in education arts. I am also a mother to two wonderful boys and a GBV survivor. I am also an advocate for SRHR, sex and reproductive health rights, and passionate about menstrual equity and dignity, as you said, but my advocacy is, like you mentioned, covers the scope of women empowerment on matters sexual and reproductive health rights. Yes.
Yeah, as you have heard, let us delve into this interesting topic. And to start with, what will you say is gender-based violence, or rather the GBV as they call it?
Well, gender-based violence is any form of violence that is maybe perpetrated on someone because of their gender. So it could be a man, it could be a woman. So any form of violence that is perpetrated on someone because of their gender. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So there is a statement that you have covered and said that it is for both either a man or a woman.
Yes.
So, and I am tempted to ask, what are some of the misconceptions that we have regarding GBV?
Exactly. I think one of them is most of the time when we talk about gender-based violence, women come to mind first. But GBV is an issue that concerns us as a society, both men and women. And some of the misconceptions that actually exist is GBV is a private matter, whereas it's not. You know, it's a form of violence, and that makes it a crime against human rights. And so GBV is not a silent or private issue. Yeah, but our society has that notion that that is a private issue. You're the one undergoing it, so that's your problem, deal with it.
So majorly, what are the major causes of GBV in general?
Well, the causes of GBV are diverse. They can be social, cultural, issues like stigma and silence and the patriarchy states of our societies, where women's autonomy is not something that is fully appreciated and accepted. Power dynamics in relationships, you know. We have economic factors like dependency, maybe in relationships. Yeah, we have issues like drug and substance abuse that can result to GBV. We also have mental health issues. Yeah, so there's a wide scope of causes of GBV. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So the recent data has shown that the major or the bigger number that is being affected by the GBV issues is the female.
Yeah.
What rather would you say is causing this?
Well, first of all, it's quite unfortunate because recently the rise in femicide cases in Kenya is alarming, especially when it is among us, the young people, the students, the campus community. I think there's information gap to start with, because in the recent case, when I was reading about Kemonto, may her soul rest in peace, and I hope justice is found for Kemonto.
Sure.
There's no way saying no to a relationship that I am not interested in should warrant me my death. You know, we grow up in a society where women have been taught how to say no, and no is a complete answer. You know, we don't need to explain, because growing up, you would hear misleading notions like, you know, when a woman says no, they mean yes, you know. So we grew up being taught about how to assertively say no and mean exactly that. So we are in an era where we are able to say no, but then now, tragically, a no and a firm no can resort to me being killed, you know. So I think it is important for us to consider advocacy and knowledge, advocacy, and also like trying to educate our youths more on consent education, you know, respecting the autonomy of the other person. You know, if I'm not interested in you, it shouldn't be an issue. You understand? And I know the campus is a very diverse community that has a lot of pressure. Peer pressure comes to play a lot. And I think also having self-awareness, because for me to feel so hurt by you rejecting me, it means I also have personal issues that I need to handle, because it means that relationship was supposed to validate a part of me that feels so invalidated. So I think self-awareness and also consent education is very important among our peers, and also understanding what is consent. Because when people talk about consent, they think it's just a matter of saying yes or yes. In this case, yeah, wanatarajia utasema yes or yes, because from the look of things, no is not taken very politely. And so I think it is important for us to understand that consent should be freely given to start with. Freely given means I should not coerce you, and you should not force me or put me under circumstances that force me to say yes. You understand?
Yeah.
Consent is revocable or reversible at any point of the engagement. You understand? So maybe you're in a relationship and mulikuwa mmeongea, you decided yeah, we are going to get intimate, and yeah, so, and then your girlfriend shows up and then she's like, you know what, I don't feel like I can do it. Or your boyfriend withdraws and like, no, I don't feel like I can do it. It's allowed. That is a component of concept that people should understand, that I can say yes and I can also change my mind, and it's okay. You should respect that. And it can happen before or during the activity that we have consented to. Okay. The other thing is, it should be informed consent. Consent should be informed. What do you mean by informed? Just because I said yes maybe to kissing, it does not mean I said yes to sex. Just because I said yes to protected sex, it does not mean I have consented to unprotected sex. So consent should be informed. What am I consenting to? You understand? Because in most cases you find there's those blood margins in consent, you know, just because maybe your partner is willing to get cozy with you, and that now you mistake that for she's ready for it, but probably she just wanted to cuddle with you, just yeah, you know. So the other thing is, it should be enthusiastic. Enthusiastic meaning it shouldn't express doubt. You know, like if you're seeking consent from your partner, it should come from a warm place. It's not like, I'm not sure, maybe. Like the fact there's presence of doubt, it means it is not, there's no consent. Okay. And the last one, it should be specific. Specific meaning I have consented for us to get intimate today. It does not mean I have consented for us to get intimate tomorrow. Okay. So, and I think those are some of the things that maybe we do not get to understand, and we feel frustrated because we lack that knowledge. You know, you're in that level of the relationship, or you're in that state, and you feel like this person is now just trying to maybe just play games with you or something. But as a person who understands these things, you should be able to also offer that support and be like, it's okay. If you feel like you're not ready for this and you're not open to this, that's fine.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing I think people need to understand, our community of students, is that consent is not given under the influence of drugs. Okay. And also, silence is not consent. So if you seek consent from your partner and they're silent, do not just translate it to a yes. Silence is not consent.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow, as you have heard, that was a matter to do with consent education, and we'll get back to that. But before then, how do you know that you are in an abusive relationship, or rather you're in the early stages of GBV? Because I think that is one of the major effects that our comrades are not understanding.
Yeah. So I think for our population, we first need to appreciate that we are just coming, some of the students who come to the university are still in the adolescent stage. So we are still in that stage where we're trying to figure out our identity and all that. And coming to the university carries a lot of pressure, the pressure to fit in, the pressure to belong in that space. You need to feel like, you are doing things right. You are not the odd one out and everything. And I think it is important for us to first understand forms of GBV. Because when most people hear of GBV, we think about physical abuse, physical violence. And under GBV, yes, we have the physical violence. We have emotional abuse, which is actually, I call it the silent killer, emotional abuse. We have sexual violence. We also have financial abuse, and we have there's the last one. We have social media, the social media misogyny. So I think all these forms of GBV are part of things that we are supposed to educate ourselves on as the campus community of students, because for you to be able to know that you're going through something, you need to be aware what it is. So for instance, when you talk about physical violence, we know when you're beaten, when you're inappropriately touched, when anything that is something that you can experience, and so you will know, because if I hit you right now, I have hit you, and why did I hit you? So that is the physical violence, which most people are familiar with, and it is unfortunate that it is happening in campus, and unfortunately, I've heard of cases, both female students and male students, and what saddens me is hearing things like, when I told my friends, they told me to vumilia. You understand? So it creates that notion of there's still a lot of awareness that needs to be done among our students to understand that abuse is not to be endured. You understand? So emotional abuse. Emotional abuse entails things that affect your inner self, how you feel about yourself. It could be verbal abuse. I could insult you. I could say mean things to you to just demean you. You understand? I could be controlling behavior. I don't want you to go anywhere. I want to be there. I want to see who you're chatting with your phone. I want all your password. And it's not by good faith. I am forcing you to provide me with that information. Because if you don't, then we have a problem. You understand? So this controlling behavior and also manipulation, So I've heard of cases whereby a male student is being manipulated by a female student because they were in a relationship and she got pregnant. And so this male student have to do everything for this girl, else she's going to abort. You see? So at the end of the day, you find this person is not thinking about what this lady is doing to him. He's like, no, I don't want you to abort, so I'm willing to do anything that you want me to do? When it comes to girl, you're in a relationship with this person who does not allow you even to go for group discussions. You cannot talk to friends. He's controlling everything that you do, the way you dress. This person is always on your case about the little things. You understand? So that is emotional abuse, and yet it affects a lot of your psychological aspects, because by the time you realize what is happening as a human, you start thinking maybe this person is right. You understand? And like I said, as a survivor of GBV, I have experienced that emotional abuse, where you're willing to even change your breathing patterns for a relationship to work. You understand? So I think that is the kind of knowledge and awareness that we need to create among our students. And this is a very wonderful platform, And moving on to financial abuse. This one, you find someone is controlling your income, your money. You don't have any freedom on how to spend your money, what to do with your money. And this happens a lot when students cohabitate. You understand? So initially, everyone is receiving support from their family because that is how it is. Then you get into a relationship, you cohabitate. And then all of a sudden, maybe as a girl, whenever you receive your money, your boyfriend's worth that money. He's the one to budget for that money and you don't have a say. Because if you have the money, you're going to leave him. If you're able to, maybe if you have the money, the way you're going to use your money is a threat to your relationship with him. You understand? And vice versa also. For the male, you find yourself providing for a girl from salon money to rent to food to everything. Yet this is a person who is receiving financial support from home, but you don't have freedom for your money because you're in a relationship with this person. So that is also a red flag. Okay. The other one we talk about
social media.
Yeah, social media misogyny, whereby you find just because we're not in good terms and we were in a relationship, I am willing to leak private information to the public. You understand? So I'm going to use that as a controlling factor. I am trolling you on social media. I am there stalking you. Like you block me, I come up with a new pseudo account. I am there. You will never run away from me. And so all these things create the feelings of insecurity. You don't feel safe, And the sad thing about that is students now, because of lack of awareness and knowledge, you tend to feel it's better the devil I know. So what happens? We stay in those relationships. We continue suffering in those relationships. Factors like trauma bonding. Today I beat you, tomorrow I take you out. Tomorrow I disrespect you in front of your friends, I insult you, I demean you, I bring you a gift the other day. So what am I doing? I'm teaching you to associate love and pain and abuse. So you find these students are not able to differentiate on these things. And they live there thinking, because this guy treats me better some days, maybe he's just figuring things out. You now start enabling the behavior of this person because of the little things they are doing just to quote unquote bribe you. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, you have heard about the different or the various forms of or types of GBV. So comment down below in case you have faced any of them or in case you've had such an issue before. And moving on, I understand some of the students come from home with these cohesions, ups and downs.
Yeah.
Do you think that some of these traumas affect some of the students, and in what way?
Well, yeah, that is true. We all come from different backgrounds, and unfortunately, there are students who come from dysfunctional families where they have witnessed or undergone GBV previously, and those traumatic experiences, the childhood traumas, when they are not, when you don't maybe resolve them through professional help, they dictate at a big percent the person you become in future. So what I usually say is when a child grows up in an abusive environment, there are two things. They're either going to be the next abusers because it's normalized. I grew up in an abusive house and I didn't see anyone become any less of a human being because of it. The victim stayed, the perpetrator never stopped. You understand? So you either become the next perpetrator or you become the next victim. And in this case, I will talk about girls who come from dysfunctional homes where they have witnessed GBV against their mothers. And it's a generation of women who are taught ndoa ni kuvumilia. So they stayed. Even with the violence, they stayed. So these girls grow up thinking that it is okay for somebody you're in a relationship with to beat you up. It is okay, you can take it because my mother went through it and they are still together and all that. And so I think that is something that we need to also address and also create awareness on. Your childhood traumas should not define who you become in future. It was not your fault that you witnessed that. It was not your fault that you grew up in that environment. It was not your fault that it happened. But it should be your responsibility now, knowing better, to try and resolve those issues. And I'm very grateful because our university offers free professional counseling. We have professional counselors and psychologists who are there to help us. So I think just creating more awareness and normalizing the culture of seeking help, because that's another problem. When somebody tells you like, yeah, you can go see a counselor, you can go see a therapist, someone starts to think, am I mad? We tend to think that we only need those interventions for the mental issues we grew up knowing. Like mtu amechizi, like you've lost it, that's when you go for that. But it is very important to understand like these traumatic experiences, unless we seek professional help, unless we go and see counseling psychologists and therapists and walk a journey of healing and accepting and forging forward, knowing different and doing different, we end up in the same cyclic life. You came from abuse, you end up in abuse, and you wonder what's wrong. And we keep saying history repeats itself. History will repeat itself because we refuse to break the cycle. Yes.
Wow. So trauma affects.
Yes.
Trauma affects.
Yes.
Now, how do we get to support these people, the victims around this area?
So first of all, I would like to encourage students to stop thinking that gender-based violence is a private issue, and when I experience it, I should not even tell anyone about it. Or the shame, the stigma. Let us foster a community that offers support, a community that understands this is a violation of human rights, and this person needs us the most to be able to get out of this situation or recover and heal from this situation. So as we form friendships and as we grow in the university community, let us treat GBV as what it is, a violation of human rights. And let us stand firm in making sure that we support these people to seek help. Because I've heard of cases where somebody tells their friends what like they are going through, and they're like, you like making small things big. You understand? But you don't know the extent to which this thing is damaging this person mentally. And at the end of the day, we hear of suicide cases because this person felt alone in a big community, a community with thousands of people you encounter every day. You feel alone because of this one issue that you're going through, but you're in a society that stigmatizes you for that. You're in a society that makes you fear seeking help. You understand? So I think, and also the other thing is the student associations, running campaigns within the university to educate our comrades on these matters, making it normal to speak about these things, breaking the silence, actually. Let's break the silence on these matters. Let's say it's not okay for anyone to subject anyone in this community to gender-based violence, because we are all human beings and we all have the same rights. Nobody has the right to take the other person's life. Nobody has the right to subject you to pain just because they feel that they can do it. You know, and then let's address the issue of this toxic masculinity thing. Jamani, just hitting a woman does not mean you're a man. You're strong enough. You know, if you're strong enough, fight with your fellow men. Anyway, I'm not encouraging people to fight anyway, but let's foster a community that upholds autonomy of both women and men in relationships, in coexistence in the university. Understand that you're going to be rejected, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's because you're not everybody's type, and you don't have to use that as a metric to measure your worth or value.
Sure.
You understand? So I think those are some of the things that we can foster as a university community, and also we can also sensitize the community on channels of seeking help. When GBV happens within the university, we have channels to report. You know, we have there's a police post within the university. Yes.
Around the Tata
Yes, we have the help units. Okay, so when it happens within the university, it is easier to seek help. But when it happens outside, what do we do? Okay, because not all students reside within the university. We have the toll-free line for GBV, 1195.
1195.
Yes, 1195 is a toll-free number for GBV victims. You don't even need to say your name. You just need to call, give details, and they will offer you help. They have a wide range of services that they offer for free, including counseling. They're going to make sure you get the proper medical intervention that you require. They are going to get you to safety if you are not safe. And so I think the awareness, personally for me, when I was a victim, I didn't know of such things, you know. So I only thought the only way to do is maybe to report to a police station, and sometimes where you live and where the police station is cannot maybe far. And again, sometimes we have mistrust with the system, you know, so you don't want to go and meet somebody else who is also maybe a perpetrator of the same, and they're looking at you in a biased way, you know. But with toll-free numbers, nobody knows you. They are just willing to help you. Okay. I also learned that we have a toll-free number for men who experience GBV. Yes, it is there. It is 1198 1198. That is a toll-free number for men who experience GBV, and they find it hard to talk to anyone about it because, truth be told, you men don't share.
That's a fact.
Yes.
That's a fact.
And so somebody will be in GBV, but they don't know where to report. They also have mistrust with the system. You don't want to go and tell a fellow man in a police station that you've been beaten by a woman and all that. You know, there's a lot of stigma and shame that is attached to men who undergo gender-based violence. So I think it is very important for our community of students to also know that these numbers are there to help everyone, be it a holiday, be it a weekend, January to January, they are accessible, and you just need to call. Yes.
Wow. In case there is a woman there who is going through any form of GBV, feel free to call 1195. I'm told it's a toll-free number. For men, we have 1198. Reach out, explain your issue. For the student residing in the university, or even outside, we have the health sector. We have our police post around the charter hall. We also have the security offices in the admission block. And I think we'll get help. Let us not be silent. Let us not have these problems running around our lives. And let us be ready to speak out. To men, I know speaking out is a big issue, but I think it's time that you start sharing and opening up on that matter. And that brings me to the next issue. In 2024, we have had very high cases regarding femicide. And probably when I talk of femicide, there might be an audience who don't understand what I might be talking about. So briefly, tell us, what is femicide from your understanding?
So simply, femicide is the intentional killing of women and girls. Yes. Intentional killing of women and girls. And it is very unfortunate because I think the society has mirrored wrongly, you know, because we do not exist in a vacuum. Okay? So some of the things that we see happening, they also guide the actions we take, you know. So you find when we exist in a times where leaders are not able to take criticism and they deal with their masses or the audience or the people criticizing them with extreme force, some of the members of the community mirror that, and they're like, if I face rejection or criticism or someone is opposing me, then I have the right to do what I can just to feel that I have satisfied my desire. You understand? So I think it is such a shame that in this time and age, as a country that is geared towards achieving SDG goals, gender equality and all that, upholding a country that upholds human rights even by the law of our constitution, it is sad that parents have to worry about their female children when they go to campus. You understand? Like, girls have to live in fear. Where are we safe? You know, remember I told you that we grew up in a community that was teaching us to say no. Autonomy, you know, to exercise our autonomy about how we feel about a situation. No, I don't want, and it's okay. Now we say no, it can resort to being killed. So we live in fear. We don't trust anyone. We don't know like who is really capable of taking our no in a nice way or amicably or understanding, and who is going to think about the craziest thing they're going to do me the next time because they said no. You understand? So I think it is very important for us as a nation, as a society, to understand that we might not have realized or we might not know how we got here, but it is time for us to take action. It's time for us to say, this has no space in our society today. You know, femicide is the extreme form of GBV on women, you know, and it is not okay. Because we are killing a society.
True.
We are causing one gender to live in fear in their own societies. You understand? And then can we make sure that we have systems that ensure that justice is gotten for these people? Because if one is killed today, tomorrow another one is killed. We don't see the perpetrators held accountable, then it only encourages this thing to continue, you know, because, well, the system don't seem to figure it out, you know. So I think it is important for us to look at this issue. It's not a women's issue. It is a social crisis that we're experiencing, you know. So, yeah, I think it is sad, and I would highly recommend, as a student, as a female student, if you feel threatened by an engagement with somebody, it is important that we report. Yeah, just make sure you say that this person engaged me in this way. This was my response, but from then I have been noticing 1, 2, 3 things. You know, they will not back down. I feel uncomfortable and all those things. Let's not just assume everybody is okay. You know, people are working with different issues, mental issues, and you don't know what this person is thinking. Yeah.
Previously, I have encountered an issue with such matters, and I feel so bad as one of the most highly respectful men to women.
Yeah.
I was once, or rather, I was involved in a discussion where most of the men said that the major problem that is causing femicide is women cheating or women not having the faithfulness in their relationship. What is your take regarding that?
Well, I think let me start by saying we cannot justify a crime. Nothing. If I cheat on you, you have the right to leave me. You know, you have a choice. To leave. Okay? So how many are you going to kill if that is there? And how do you live with your conscience? You understand? So unfaithfulness or the infidelity in relationships or what the students wanaita kugongewa should not be a reason for you to kill anyone. Yeah, we cannot justify. It is wrong. And for you to exist with that ideology, it is actually a problem. Because what if, you know, sometimes we say these matters seem distant to us until they happen to us. What if it is your sister? What if it is your daughter? What if it is your cousin? Like, what if it's someone who is close to you? That's when it hits home. And it is sad that we have to wait for it to get to that point for us to start saying, end femicide. No, every life matters. And we cannot justify crime now.
I think also probably the so-called male chauvinism, or they call it the toxic masculinity, is one of the effects. What will you say about that, and how are we going to curb this challenge? Because it's a very huge challenge that is affecting most of us.
Well, when it comes to chauvinism, I think we are in an era where information is available, and the sad thing, like I said, is we are mirroring wrong, even from some of our leaders. You know, that chauvinism resorting to people feeling that like they are the ones who are more deserving than others, even when it comes to matters life. You know, it takes both genders for a society to exist. So I don't see why we should still be embracing the idea of chauvinism, yet we are in an era that we have more information on gender equity, gender equality. Let us respect the strengths of each other in the society. The things that men can do, women we can't do. The things that women we can do, men we can't do. And it doesn't have to be a competition or power games, you know, between men and women, where now men feel like they need to protect their stand as the strongest gender. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it is affecting us as a community, not just as individuals. You know, so I think chauvinism has no place in our society right now, and anyone upholding that ideology, kidogo, they are behind time. Yeah.
How are we going to curb this issue of femicide as we probably come to an end? How are we going to put it to an end? Because it is a matter, I think a few days we have lost a student in one of the universities.
Yeah.
From the same matter to do with relationship and such. How are we going to curb the issue to do with femicide?
So number one, I think like we said, it is just being vigilant in also number one, let's create awareness, yes, so that we might know when under GBV we have intimate partner violence, because we assume that just because somebody is my partner, like that cannot be termed as violence, you understand? So let us be vigilant in identifying these issues that are making us uncomfortable in relationships. Let us report, let us speak out, we seek help. Femicide is a collective responsibility. It is not, it is you, me, it is the institution, it is the government, it is the leaders, you know, it is the systems in place to make sure that together we are advocating towards one goal. It is a collective responsibility for us as a society. You know, we cannot say, we can sit here and discuss, create awareness and educate the students on these matters. But if the system is not, the system is faulty, or the system is not like working towards ensuring that there is enough intervention measures, protection and preventive measures, then at the end of the day, we're still going to be talking about the same thing. So I think it is a collective responsibility. Let every key stakeholder play their role, and let us gear towards one goal, putting an end to femicide. Yeah.
What do you think are some of the policies that we should incorporate probably in our institutions, be it private or public organizations, probably to curb this matter and put it to an end?
Zero tolerance on any form of GBV, be it inappropriate address, be it because sometimes you find it begins mildly, you know. So there are things that will happen, and then later they will lead to the GBV and femicide and all that. So I think zero tolerance policies on any form of GBV, because sometimes even victims are unable to come forward when they think about what it's going to take for them to find justice. Is anybody going to believe me? You understand? Let's have a policy. And also there's this issue of shifting blame to the victims. You understand? Alikuwa amevaa aje? Alikuwa anafanya nini kwa klabu? You understand? So instead of holding the perpetrator accountable, we want to justify that this victim brought it upon themselves. You understand? So I think we should have just those policies of zero tolerance, whereby when an individual or a student feels uncomfortable with maybe a certain person because of how they're treating them or what they have done or things they have said or actions they have started taking, then this student understands that I am protected by the policies in my institution. This person has no right to do this, but so many students don't realize that an institution can protect them, so they will not even come forward to report these cases. Among them, they are saying tuvumilie, hata ukimwacha unaenda kwa nani? Unaona, umepigwa tu kidogo, si mtu anakupiga juu anakupenda. You understand? So let's just have policies that have zero tolerance on GBV.
Probably in conclusion, do you think that you have said that once you have a problem and you share it with your peers, they tell you vumilia and such? Do you think that this is a student culture that is affecting most of the students?
Well, yes, the culture of silence and the concept of persevering abuse, but it comes from the society that has raised us. Remember, we've been raised by a society that told women ndoa ni kuvumilia, a society where maybe we have witnessed violence, the abuse happening, but nothing was done, So at the end of the day, it does not just come from an ignorance perspective. It comes from what we have picked growing up, what we have mirrored. It is monkey see, monkey do, But then we are here, we know better, so we do better. So I think no student should be telling, in fact, no friend should be telling a friend to vumilia abuse. That is so wrong. Yes.
Well, if you probably could leave us with a message, or especially the campus student, regarding such matters, regarding everything that you cover in your lifestyle, what would it be probably? Just share probably a little scoop on
So I think number one, what I would say is when you come to campus, there's pressure to fit in. But in essence, you don't have to fit in. You only need to find your tribe, people who accept you and want to associate with you because of who you are, what you believe in, and they respect your individualism. When you find yourself in a situation where you have to change a lot about yourself, when you have to do so much just to belong to a certain group, that's where we start going wrong in campus. It is okay to be yourself. It's okay to not fit in those groups that we normally want to fit in. And it's okay not to do what others are doing, because I think peer pressure is one of the things that have seen a lot of students get into these kind of relationships whereby you feel maybe your friends are dating this and this type of guys, and you really want to get there where you feel like your fellow guys have cohabitated with their girlfriends, and you also want to fit there, and you end up making these choices without consciously knowing what they are going to result in. So when you're in campus, just be yourself, find your tribe, and by your tribe, I say there are those people who accept you and want to associate with you because of who you are, and they respect your individualism and support you in ways that they can. And the other thing is, GBV is not a private matter. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that we create awareness and we take action towards ensuring that students are safe and they are able to easily seek help and get the required help. Thank you.
Well, as you have heard, that has been our guest, Evalyne Kaira, and she has shared very, very important information. We have gotten to know various types of gender-based violence. We have gotten to understand that we need to look for this education. The Bible says that my people perish due to lack of knowledge. But the verse that is under there says that knowledge has been provided, but my people ignore. That has been the Campus Diaries, and today we have tackled the gender-based violence and also the part of femicide, and we have been given a toll-free number, which is 1195, that you can call anytime that you have a problem that is for the women and for the men. You feel free to call 1198 and you share any problem that you have. Until next time, stay safe and make sure that you speak out. South African quote says that when you strike a woman, you'll strike a rock. Let us respect women, let us respect our relationships, and let us respect each other. Have a good evening and a good night. We meet tomorrow for Darubini ya Ijumaa as well as the hot seats with Dennis Madea. Good evening.